Hi. Sorry if my voice is kind of raspy. I have allergies right now. Hey. My name is Andrea, and I chose kind of like a mix between the first and the second option. You guys will understand like in a little bit. So, my friend recently gave me this little D2 toy this last Christmas, and she wrote me this really long letter about like, oh my god, you're like my best friend. And I was like, huh, okay. But, like all that mushy stuff. But she wrote something in particular that really stood out, and it builds a lot of context in why I treasure this so much, is the fact that she said that she wanted to give me a piece of my childhood that I couldn't really focus on because of the fact that I grew up so quickly because of my brother. And to explain that, it's kind of, it's kind of obvious. My brother, he has a physical and mental defect that is called acrodiostosis, which means that his body doesn't build enough of a certain like something in his cell. So a lot of his physical and mental things were not built 100% correctly. So he's nonverbal, he has autism, he's pretty low on the spectrum, and he's relatively short. He's about this compared to me, and he's 23 years old, so you wouldn't really expect that from a 23-year-old. He changed my life so much. I can't imagine how hard it was for my parents to hear that their child was born with this disability, because I was kind of just born into it. I was born 6 years after my brother, and I didn't really see it as a big difference because I grew up with him around the house all the time. I would go to his special needs things, his little groups, and I would always, see them as like normal people, and like I never judged them differently than like my other peers at school. But I didn't really notice how different my brother was until I started going to school, and like, how when you're in elementary school and like you see the special needs kids and they're sitting like at a separate table than like all the other kids, and you're like, oh, like I wonder like what makes them, I wondered why they were sitting differently from other people, and I come to realize that they are always pushed aside because of their mental defects, and people constantly want to judge them for who they are. And I am honestly so blessed that my brother was born this way, because I was taken away. I was not born with that prejudgment of other kids that have disabilities. I was able to accept them and love them, and my friends even thank me. My best friend that I've had for almost 13 years, she tells me every week that she sees my brother, she's like, damn, like, I look at your brother and I honestly get so happy, because I just think of all the other kids that we see at school, and I get so happy that I don't judge them. I accept them, and honestly, it's a huge part of my childhood, because I also grew up with a lot of therapists in my house for his behaviorals and stuff. So like I learned a lot of like psychological vocabulary that a normal 6 or 7-year-old wouldn't know. Like my brother would do something bad and I'd be like, oh, he needs negative reinforcement. He needs to get that out of his system, and like it was really kind of weird. Like my friends would always like be like, why do you know that? And I'd be like, oh, pretty smart. So I'd always tell him that, but it was just because of my brother. So in conclusion, I know that my childhood wasn't as similar as maybe some of your guys's. I didn't get to go to the park as often because I would have to go with my mom to therapy sessions with my brother, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Honestly, my brother is such a huge blessing in my life. He taught me so much patience, so much love, and I wouldn't change that for anything. And yeah, that's my presentation.